Everybody, well, hello, and welcome to the presentation. I appreciate you all being here on this fantastic Friday. Now, of course, for those of you who are on TikTok, you see right behind me, there's a little green. And for those of you see a little green, of course, it's Happy St. Patty's Day. And of course, because I'm naturally blind, I forgot to push the button that says hello and my mute button. I was on mute the whole time on Spreaker. I tell you what, folks, it's one of those days. All right. Hello, and welcome to the presentation. Thank you for being here. It's weird. It's saying 0 up there on the count there, Mr. Producer. That's kind of strange. I don't know why it's saying 0 on the, I'm looking at the count there, and but we have viewers there, but that's weird. It's a weird St. Patty's Day for some reason. I'm not really for sure why it's showing that. That's strange. Well, it's one of those things. We just kind of, could it be a StreamYard glitch? Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, because it's showing 0, but we have listeners. So, all right. Well, thank you for loving my vids. I appreciate that, and thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. I just got that notice. Thank you as well. I am Bishop James Long, and I thank you so much for being here, folks. Let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. But before we do, I want to invite you to please go to this fantastic website. And this website is kgradb.com. So let me tell you again, KG as in giraffe, kgradb.com. And I want you to put promo, Bishop as your promo code. You're going to get 30% off your subscription. Now, what that is basically is they have shows there. They produce the shows, and they have shows there for you, paranormal shows that are fantastic. They're just fantastic. But put Bishop from your promo code, folks. You're going to get 30% off your subscription. It's already cheap. It's already very inexpensive. But hey, $1 saved is $1 saved. So make sure you put Bishop as your promo code. Also, I want you to go to my website. If you want to know more about me, it's very simple. BishopJamesLong.com. That's it. There you can go. You can check if you want to know a little bit about me and my information, my history, whatever. You can also, of course, go to my store. I do have an online store there, and you can purchase whatever products you want there as well. And also, I teach online class. Now, remember, I teach demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. And I teach that online for everybody. So you learn at your own pace. It's 100% online. No stress, no worries, no pressure. You just learn. And you can just click on the class link there. And you feel free to do it. Also, on BishopJamesLong.com, we have night prayer tonight at 10 p.m. as we normally do. Just scroll all the way down, push the night prayer button, and bam, it'll take you right to our Spreaker night prayer at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the church's website, everybody says, church, what church. It seems like every 5 seconds, what church. Okay. USOCC.org. I advertise that everywhere. That is, it's impossible. I mean, literally everywhere. If I do a television show, it's USOCC.org. It's always there. So that's the church's website. If you want to know more about us, just go there, USOCC.org. Now, I'm going to say, and thank you, Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer is not feeling so good, so definitely keep him in your thoughts and prayers, and hopefully he'll get better soon because he's not feeling that great. So God love him, but he's still here and he's still pushing buttons and helping us out, and so we definitely appreciate that. Now, I also want to tell you, let me type this in here because it is important. That way I can look at it. Bishop James Long / okay. Now, it is possible, for those of you who don't know, who might not be living in the United States, it is possible, folks, that TikTok might be banned in the United States. It's really starting to look like that is a strong possibility. We'll talk about that in a minute as far as why and all that stuff. So, TikTok, listen to me carefully because this is very important. And even if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, I invite you to go to my official YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe because if it gets banned, there's nothing we can do. So for those of you who want to know, it's youtube.com/C/Bishop James Long, all one word, and then a last dash official. You don't have to worry. All you got to do is go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to where it says social media outlets, and YouTube is there. So I made it even very, very simple. And even on TikTok, if you go to the link tree, if you click on the link tree, there's also my YouTube page. So what I want you to do is, folks, if you don't subscribe, I can't help you. And there's not a whole lot I can do. We don't know if TikTok is going to get banned. We just don't. It's possible, but right now at this point, I'm not answering any more questions about are you Catholic, because I've already said that. USOCC.org, folks. Because it seems like I answer it, and then 5 seconds later someone asks a question, and I'm not trying to be rude. It just that gets annoying. It's like every 5 seconds. USOCC.org. Yes, the answer is yes, 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 yes. So there we go. So I don't know. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. But once you ask the question, so many times, it's like, it's kind of like exhausting. So USOCC.org. So TikTok moderators, if anyone asks, because they might just join, just say USOCC.org. That way I don't have to constantly answer the question, because it gets, I don't know. We don't know if TikTok is going to get banned. We just don't know. And right now, it does look like that there is support on both Republican and Democrat side to ban TikTok. And the latest is that the White House has basically told TikTok, the owner of TikTok, that unless you sell your share to the United States, then TikTok could be banned. And the owner of TikTok said that that's not going to help the security aspect. So here's what I do know. I do know that the owner of TikTok is supposed to be testifying in front of, I think, the Senator of Congress, I'm not for sure, on the Hill sometime next week. And they're going to be having a conversation with him regarding the security aspects of TikTok. So the thing is there's a lot of support. The Supreme Court can overrule, but at the same time, Congress can pass laws that can make it. If the President of the United States declares that it is, in fact, a security threat to the United States, then he absolutely, without question, he has the authority to immediately ban it. So I understand the free speech aspect, folks, but I'm telling you now, I'm a history nerd. I love the government. I love politics. I don't talk much about politics. I never talk about politics, but I think about in this situation, you need to be aware that it is there's a lot of support right now in Congress and the Senate to ban it. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. And so anyway, I just to me, people are asking me about. Okay, let me just say this. And then we're going to get on to the presentation. I'm not in favor of any type of government saying we're going to make decisions for you. I know I'm an adult, and if I'm willing to use an application, and I want to use the application, well, I should be able to have that right to make that decision and the consequences that come with that. So there's a little bit of an overreach, I think, and I'm not a big fan of that. So to me, I would rather just kind of allow people to make their own decision based on that. So that's just my opinion. I understand that there are issues, and I agree, to be honest with you, I agree with the owner of TikTok. The owner of TikTok said the United States forcing him to sell his share to the United States is not going to fix the security issue with TikTok. And they've already stated that the security issue has already been resolved. There's a third party that is assuring that the security is being monitored. That has nothing to do with the Chinese government. and they are verifying that the security is solid. So we'll see what this person, what the owner of TikTok testifies again next week. And so, okay, you know what? And you're an asshole. There you go. Block. I'm so sick of people. I'm so sick of trolls. I really am. I'm just so sick of trolls. I think it's pathetic that trolls on a Friday night have nothing else better to do than to come on to clergy's page and call them a hypocrite. Well, you know what? Then get a life, because if you have nothing else to do than to go on trolls onto clergy's page on live and troll them on a Friday night, then your life is even more boring than mine. And I listen to Gregorian chant, and I think that's hip music. So that should kind of give you a little bit of a clue. You got to get a life. Just saying. Okay. So anyway, there we go. We'll see. We'll see what happens with TikTok. I don't know. No one knows, and we'll kind of figure out how. I love Gregorian chant too. I'm right there with you. So yeah, we'll see how that is. Okay. Now let me just first of all, I don't go into politics. I really don't. I just, to me, I'm troubled by this, because I would rather adults make their own decision. But if there is a legitimate national security concern, then we need to hear about it. We need to hear it. There we go. So, trolls, let me address this, and I'm sorry that I have to do this every single time. Trolls, you will not get my attention. You will not. You're not going to. I'm going to ignore you. So if your goal is to come in and troll and try to get under my skin and cause the presentation to stop or whatever, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. I'm just not going to, go get a bottle and take a nap or something, because obviously you need attention. So I'm just letting you guys know that if you're going to troll, goodbye. The moderators will block you. So moderators, anybody who comes in and makes derogatory comments, block them. That's it. Block them. Plain and simple. I see, that's the thing, Lisa. If I don't announce it, then people say I should. If I do announce it, then people say I don't. So it's kind of like a damn if you do, damn if you don't. So I'm going to announce it, and I did. And now we're going to work out and keep pushing through. Yeah. Yeah, I you're right. Again, every presentation, I make it clear from here on out, you'll get no attention from me. You're not going to get under my skin, and I will ignore you. Okay? All right. Great. Thank you very much for subscribing. I truly appreciate that. For those of you who go on YouTube, please subscribe. And there we go. So thank you, TikTok, for being here. Thank you, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for being here. And thank you, Spreaker, for being here. All you guys are here, and I appreciate you all. Really, truly do. Okay. So today we're going to have a good conversation because it is St. Patrick's Day. Now, here's what we do. For those of you who are new, who have never been here before, what I normally do is I like to do a presentation, whatever it might be, for the first hour. And then on the top of the hour at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll get to your questions. I'm live 4 times a week. So I'm here for quite a bit. Sometimes after the presentation, maybe it depends, at 9 o'clock, the show ends at 9. I might stick around a little longer. And then if you guys want to come on camera on TikTok with me, sometimes I'll do that, just depending on how the night goes. So we'll see how that goes. Well, thank you very much there. I appreciate that, Edgar. I do. I appreciate that. And for those of you who, let me ask you, yep, I'm on KGRADB right now. Yep, right now. So we're running the show live with them. And I'm going to be with KGRADB until they say, Bishop, go away. And hopefully they won't do that, because I enjoyed the platform. Today is St. Patty's Day, and what a great day! I tell you what, we have family who we're certainly Irish. We have Irish blood in us, and so we welcome all of you guys to St. Patty's. So what I'm going to do? Again, TikTok, not because I'm being rude or disrespectful, but because I appreciate that. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the kind comments. You guys are the best. I mean, this was really nice comments on that. I appreciate that. All right. Yeah, you guys are really cool. So let's talk about today, the first part. We're going to have a conversation about Irish superstitions and superstitions that come from Ireland. And then, of course, some ghost stories from Ireland as well. So, well, I love you right back. Love you guys right back. So that's the first hour. And then, of course, the second hour, I'll go all into Christ is a woman. No, Christ is not a woman. Sorry. Not again. It has not does anything do. Okay. Christ is not a woman. Not that there's anything wrong with women. I do not believe in, as a matter of fact, we ordain women. But it gets to a point where these are glasses. Okay, these are reading glasses. This is not a telephone. Do you understand? Either they are or they're not. And so I don't understand that. But all right. Nope. Sermons are not today. If you want to join us for Bible study, that's on Sundays and Wednesdays. Sundays and Wednesdays, we have Bible study. Today is paranormal. That's what we do. On Sundays and Wednesdays, I do not entertain paranormal questions at all. Today, it's about the paranormal. There we go. All right, everybody. So listen to this. This is a very cool story. This is from Emerald Isle. I really love this. It says, Irish ghost stories are deeply intertwined with ancient Irish culture and mythology, with many tales going back to the pre-Christian days. Now, sometimes retold in more modern forms. The old people had a great belief in the afterlife and the places where the world grew thin, or places where spirits could most easily pass from one realm to the next. Now, many of the strange apparitions and phantom that have accosted weary travelers on dark country roads, and these tales they shared with others as they went, warning and telling ghost stories of things stirring that had no right to move. Even in the living sometimes had ghosts, like the fetch by some tales, spirits that came to visit. But if you went looking in a deep, dark places, you might find yourself the guest of another kind of ghost. Especially to be feared were crossroads, where the spirits of the lost can get caught, unable to find their way to where they were going. But you might meet murderous wraiths, like petticoat loose on any dark road. And again, these are Ireland. And so because today is St. Patty's Day, I thought, well, let's bring in some Irish folklore, Irish paranormal stories that have been passed down from generation to generation, which I think is very, very cool. And thank you, Jack's Paranormal, for blocking people. Please feel free. If anyone comes in and they're derogatory, they're rude, they're slanderous, block them. Just block them. Okay. Otherwise, if people are very cool, welcome. So the most ancient Irish ghost stories are often the most unsettling, like the collector of debts of the elder powers of Ireland, the Dullahan, who comes to ensure that the evil ones get their due from whatever bargains had been struck. Don't make a deal with the devil. Or the mournful tale of the vengeance of the abused maiden who become the rest thirst. So when you're ready, again, here we go. These terrifying tales. Think about all those who came before and listened to them, being told perhaps in a drafty cottage or in a great hall, or even gathered around a peat fire in some road when the world was younger, and ghost stories were the doorway to those long ago in the dark valley to meet their maker, especially at times like Halloween, or Samhain, as it used to be called, when the darker half of the year began. So while with the harvest gathered and stored, then there was a time for the hunger of the spirits, and great bonfires were lit to protect villages from their unwelcome attention. So we're going to talk about these stories. And I think it's really cool because these stories are historical. And that's what's so neat about this, knowing that these stories have been told for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I think that's neat. So let's get into it. Here's the first story. Where's the love? Well, the love is here. We just don't put up with nonsense because we're all adults and we're not kids. So there once was a woman called Mary Rue, or Red Mary, since she was one of the McMahons and had her hair like a fiery sunset with a temper to match. Many legends have grown up around this 17th century force of nature. Some true, some maybe less so, and some she spread herself. Now, she made her seat in Lemanagh Castle in the Burren in the County Clare, and her first husband was arranged to be Colonel Daniel Nealon, an officer, an English officer, but he perished young in the wars with Spain, leaving her with 3 children in a large estate. Now, after that, she married her cousin, Connor O'Brien of Lemanagh, by whom she had no less than 8 children. Now, he was not a man given to accepting the yoke of English rule lightly. So he financed and fought alongside rebel companies, stealing sheep, cattle, swine, and other goods from English settlers, generally giving them a hard time whenever he could. Now, he built 2 great gates to command the road into and out of the Burren, and none could pass except there were granted leave by himself and his wife. But one of the Burren men gathered a force, and breaking the gates made O'Brien swear free right away forever. So those who came up on the wrong side of his blade held that his good fortunes in battle were due to his wife's witchcraft. And it would seem nobody could stop him. But his luck ran out when he joined the armies of King Charles II, dying the death of a hero after a battle against Edmund Ludlow. Now, he made his way home to his castle, and people say that the Red Mary thought him dead, crying out to his servants with neither a tear nor a wail, "What do I want with this dead man here?" But when she spied he was alive, she nursed him on his deathbed until he passed away. Then she adorned herself in her most magnificent silk and lace, went straight to Limerick, which was under siege at the time. And when she made it to the outer ring of soldiers, she was stopped by a sentry and screeched until the officers emerged from the tent where they were eating their dinners. She then told them, "I was Connor O'Brien's wife yesterday and his widow today. He fought us yesterday," they replied. "How can you prove he's dead?" "I'll marry any of your officers that ask me," she answered. Well, one Captain Cooper, a man of uncommon courage, took her up on their offer, and they were married shortly afterwards, by which means she saved her estates from Cromwell's depredations. Now, little benefit did he gain from what the arrangement, however, for he spoke ill of her former husband, and one morning she killed him, stone dead, with a swift kick to the fork. 23 more of Cromwell's finest did she marry after that, and none, not a one, came to a good end, marrying all the latter ones for a year and a half. Now, one fellow was thrown out a window while she challenged another to ride her wild but completely blind stallion to the cliffs of Moher. So fierce was this beast that there were special niches built into his stone enclosure where people could hide if he heard them passing. She quarreled with the Protestant clergy and had her own private church built to spite them, and tales even tell her to temper. She was so fierce that should a male servant displease her, he was hung by a neck, and if a female, hung by the hair from the corbels on the old Peel Tower after being mutilated. Well, anyway, more tales are told about Red Mary than she had children. But strangest of all of the stories about how she met her end, some say she was sealed in a hollow tree to starve to death. Others say a tree opened up and swallowed her wickedness, while others say that she was flung from a horse into the forked branch of a tree where she choked or hung by her own hair. But most eerie of all, her shade is said to stalk the ruins of the old castle yet, accompanied by evil laughter and the screams of her supposed victims. Whether her final resting place was in a tree near her beloved castle or close to the old Druid's altar, the former is marked on the map that you can see if you go online. That's, doesn't sound like a woman you want to cross. She definitely does not seem like somebody you want to make mad at all. I have not been there in Cynthia, Kentucky, but yeah, that's a very angry woman, no doubt about that. Okay, here's another Irish, because again, for those of you who just, there are some Actually, that's a good question. Blue Truth, there are some old tales saying that they actually burnt her because they claimed that she was a witch because all of her husbands kept dying. So eventually they think, that she was, that she had all these spells. And so there's some old wives' tale that she was actually, that she was burnt to the stake as well. What was her name? What, Red Mary? Red Mary is, you can just type in Red Mary, the Red Mary urban legend in Ireland, and it will pull up for you. Here's another one from Emerald Isle as well. I've not been there, Paranormal Connections, but I have heard a lot about the Rose Opera House. By the way, not that these people are sponsors, but I absolutely love this water. This water is fantastic. Where's your green today? Hello, right there. Right there. I really do love this. If you've never had this, you can buy it at Dollar General. And this is great. This is fantastic. Now, Paranormal Connection, send me a Facebook message. I'd love to know how it goes. I've heard it's supposed to be pretty cool, but I've never been there. I have not, you know what? I've not done a lot of paranormal investigating in a long time. I really would like to. I really do. Here's the thing. Here's what people don't understand. People have judged me for years about being in the paranormal. I really don't care. I love the paranormal. I'm not going to apologize because I love the paranormal. I support paranormal teams. And people who like to attack the paranormal team should be ashamed of themselves, because you know what? Those people are not the ones answering the calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. Those people are not the ones that are actually putting all of the tools and the equipment that you have to use in order to investigate. Those individuals are not packing their car, getting all the team members, driving hours upon hours, going to people's homes whom they don't even know, and not charging a dime for, by the way, and investigating cases, trying to determine what's going on, and if they can try to debunk it, try to explain it, and if they can't, get clergy involved. I think before people start throwing out stones, perhaps maybe if anybody likes to do that, it's fascinating to me. I'll just say this. Here's what's fascinating. The people who like to throw stones and judge paranormal teams, or people like myself who actually investigate paranormal claims, it's funny that they're not the ones that they don't answer the phone. They don't advertise online their phone number so that complete strangers can call them, and they can get out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive to these people's homes. They don't do that, but they love to stand behind their little keyboard and talk smack. But they're not the ones helping. But they love to talk smack. See, this is what I mean. There is so much nastiness and so much bitterness and so much judgment. And then when I say to them, okay, well then next time, then when I get called out at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning and I get in my car, I'm going to come pick you up. How's that? And you can share the expense with me. They won't be complaining much more after that. And this is what paranormal teams do. And see another so-called expert. Well, William, do you go out? Do you? Are you referring to me or someone else? I don't know. So that's the thing. Do you go out? Do you answer the phones? And do you travel? Do you go to people's homes without charging them a penny to try to explain what's going on? No. What people do is stand behind their computer and complain and talk smack about people who do. And that's troubling. That's very troubling. But hey, again, it's one of those things. Oh yeah, got some right. Doing good. So yeah, Paranormal Connections, you guys are 100% free. And most teams are. I mean, it's one of those things. teams are who do it for free. They're not trying to take advantage of people. They're not trying to harm people. They're trying to, and they don't owe, when you call a paranormal team, they don't owe you anything. If you call them at 2:00 in the morning and say, our family is terrified, things are going, we're terrified. We don't want to get into the home. And the team packs up all their stuff and travel, hours to get to your location. They don't owe you that. This entitlement crap. They don't owe you anything. But yet they do it out of the kindness of their heart because they are dedicated to the field. They want to find out what's going on to try to hopefully give you some peace of mind. That's a ministry. That is a ministry. And there will always be those people who talk smack, but they're never the ones that answer the phone calls at 2 in the morning. They're never the ones that get in the car and travel to these people's homes, but they talk smack behind the keyboard, you see. So pretty sad. Again, I'm going to get your questions, guys, at the top of the hour. Okay, this is very, very distracting. All right, so questions on TikTok, top of the hour. Right now, I'm being very distracted by so many just ridiculous comments. Again, not most of you are kind, but there's just trolls. I'm just not going to put up with it right now. Here's another one for those of you who want to know about the Irish urban legends and folklore. And so this is a really cool story as well. Oh yeah, that's awesome. This is again from Emerald Isle. This is a sad tale of love lost. A little remains now of once proud Dunluce Castle, whose halls, by the way, echoed with the sounds of laughter and music, and whose vaulted arches had defied the most ferocious storms. Only echoes of shadows are left behind, and some say the tormented ghost of a young lady waiting for her love to return. Again, these are old stories that's been passed down from generation to generation for St. Paddy's Day. So the castle had originally been built by Richard Berg in the 13th century, but shortly afterwards it passed to the McQuillan clan, who turned it into a mighty fortress and became known as the Lords of the Rout. Now, the Bergs weren't finished with it yet, though. The Richard Og was after the hand of Lord McQuillan's daughter, Miss Rua. Well, she wasn't taken with him, though, and she had secretly given her heart to a young man called Reginald O'Cahan. Now, her father was angry with her defiance and locked her up, good grief, in the dank and gloomy northeast turret of the keep. But every day and night, she watched by the window of her prison, waiting for rescue from her love. This is crazy. So anyway, and come did he, under cover of night and a storm which blinded the guards, to his little boat. Reginald made his way with stealth up to her cell and released her, and they escaped amid howling winds and driving rain into a sea cave among the rocks below the castle, pushing out the little boat for freedom and Portrush. But alas, the boat was no match for the wild seas, being tossed hither and yon without mercy until eventually the white fangs of the ocean turned the boat over and it was shattered against the rocks. The young lady and Reginald held on to one another as the boat sank into the cold depths of the sea. Sounds like the Titanic, from where Maeve's body was never recovered. And now they say her spirit haunts the ruined northeast tower of the Dunluce Castle, especially on stormy nights, when sorrowful wails and moans can be heard echoing amid the thunder. Maeve await her rescue still. Now, of course, some people say, well, these are just stories. These are just stories. There's no validity to them. Still, they're historical. And when you have these stories passed on from generation to generation, and for some of them kind of scary. Well, this one is the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well, the Kilmaguro in County Cork, for the most part, is a peaceful and quiet one, as it lay under the power of the Fitzgeralds for many years, and they were, for the most part, just and fair rulers. So good were they that nobody had anything bad to say about them, and tales were told of their heroism and generosity. But as they say, it is the exception that makes the rule. And so it was with the giantess Eileen Fitzgerald. Rumors abounded that her father was one of the weird folks, Far from the moment she came into the world, she grew up into a crazy size and prison, just a huge family. She was said to be one of the great Woods or Kylemore and part of her strange size. She was considered a giant. And she was wild. The family was wild. She was fierce, restless. Her whole family was rousing up the warriors of her clan to raid nearby farms and settlements. And who stood in her way were slain with her great hammer. Good grief. The heads knocked clean off them to sail over the trees. Then she would carry away anything of theirs that wasn't nailed down and put her mark on their land too. And from the high lows, a fortress of her family, she ruled with an iron fist. And it was in that fort she buried all of her ill-gotten gains. And yet, for all of her strength and ferocity, she didn't live very long. Well, I wonder why. Whether she passed in a natural way or died at the hand of a vengeful warrior or jealous lover isn't told. But when the nights are dark and the wind blows from the west, the people of this city make sure to close their windows. They do this, folks, they actually do this. To close their windows and doors up extra night, tighten up, for her ghost has been seen wandering over the lands she once plundered. As evil as she was in life, she was no less evil in death, although she was condemned to wear only a thin cloth dress and appear as an old woman with no strength in her, shivering in the chill night air. Her feet were those of a sheep with hooves at the end of her legs. It sounds like demonic. And if you should happen across her and ask her why she was strapped in that way, she may very well answer, for my cruelty in oppressing the poor, for forcing them to perform weighty tasks, and for depriving a poor widow of the milk of her 5 sheep. My feet are deformed, and I am thus doomed to perpetual motion until the day of judgment. But when you ask the local people why they fear or what they fear about her wretched shape doomed to wander forevermore, they will fall silent and look away, ashen faced. This actually does. People in this place, you know, it's interesting when you have towns. I love, like, the movie. What is that movie? I forgot the name of it. Where they kind of moved away from the city and to start their own kind of world. Oh, what is that name? What is the name of it? The Village. It's almost like that, where the superstitions, where people actually believe this. And there are people, I'm telling you, folks, this is no joke. There are people and towns all around the world that truly believe in these superstitions. There are La Llorona. For many people, they're like, okay, whatever. But La Llorona is in many places, especially in Mexico. Many places in Mexico, I have friends there. I have clergy there, and the clergy member try to talk to their parishioners and say, you don't have to worry about it. It's just an urban legend. But La Llorona is allegedly this spirit of a wretched woman or women who, went down to a creek or to a river and who drowned her children. And now she wails in pain and where's her children? And she wanders the streets, and you hear this wailing woman. She's also referred to as that. There's a lot of people who absolutely put a stock into these urban legends. And it's very similar to The Village. Of course, The Village happened to be not so true, but anyway. Pretty sad. Here's another, again, this is today is St. Patty's Day, so we're having a great conversation about all of our conversations and ghost stories and things from Ireland, because it is St. Patty's Day. And yes, here's my green right here. For those of you who want to know, for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, that's green, and here's green right here. I made sure I had some type of green. You have to. It's our. Come on, St. Patty's Day. And TikTok, I'll put on the comments on the top of the hour, but right now is getting very, very distracting, so I turned it off. Okay, again, this is from Emerald Isle. This is a place you don't want to stay overnight, according to Irish and Celtic myths and legends. The long shadow of Leap Castle in County Offaly stretches across many centuries, and from its dark depth echoes tales of terror, murder, and the dread hand of the supernatural reaching from beyond the grave. So the land upon which the O'Bannon clan built Leap Castle, that's the name of it, in the 13th century was not occupied. In fact, it had been used by the Druids and other dark mystics as a place of initiation and concourse, where they took the innocent and made them their own, since the time before man mastered copper. Whatever prompted the O'Bannon brothers to build on that spot, it turned sour before the first block was even laid, as the two men of them were arguing over who should be the chieftain, the boss. So they took it into their heads to leap. They took it in their heads to leap from the highest part of the mound where the castle would be built. I think probably too much alcohol might have been consumed that day. The survivor was to be the ruler. And so, after this crazy pact, the castle was named Liam O'Bannon, which means Leap of the O'Bannons. Now, not long would they hold their fortress, however, since their masters, the O'Carrolls, quickly took a fancy to it, and shortly thereafter took the castle itself. They were a ruthless and power-hungry clan, and rumors abound of the many murders that authored at Leap Castle. Now, the chief of the O'Carrolls died without naming an heir. So there was a lot of argument between his two sons over who would be the new lord of the clan. Now, one of the sons, whose name was Thaddeus, was a priest. And one day, while he celebrated Mass, his brother, T, burst in and stabbed him to death. Well, this place in the castle is now known as the Bloody Chapel. And some say the shade of Thaddeus wanders there even still. Well, the fell-handed and bloodthirsty reputation of the O'Carroll clan grew as time passed. And the depredations weren't reserved for the enemies alone. The McMahons, they're popular, aren't they? Were invited to a feast to celebrate their victory over a mutual enemy of the clans, but got their payment in poison instead of gold. Well, the infamous Red Lady was another of their victims, said to have been captured and raped by members of the O'Carroll clan before putting an end to her own life when they murdered the offspring of their Jews. Reign of the O'Carrolls finally came to an end in the 17th century when one of the ladies of the clan fell in love with a prisoner in their dungeon, Captain Darby, the wild captain. She'd bring him morsels and eventually help them to escape, intending to elope. They wanted to get married. But when they got to the stairs, who did they encounter by the lady's brother? And a sword fight ensued, which the O'Carroll man lost. With that, she became the sole heir to the house. And the Darbys settled in, cleaning the place up, renovating the aging buildings. There was no fairy tale ending, however, since Captain Darby was himself in prison for treason not long after that. He had buried his battle spoils all over the castle, but when he was so long in the dungeons of Dublin that he lost his mind. And upon his release, spent the rest of his days wandering the halls, looking for his lost treasure. And there, allegedly, he still wanders. So by the 19th century, the Darbys were in decline. And the lasts of their house, basically, Jonathan Charles Darby married Mildred Dill in 1889. She was a mystic of the sort of popular in tea rooms and the upper levels of the society at the time, and a Gothic novelist. But her dabbling seances seemed to have awoken something far more dangerous than she'd expected. She described it as an elemental. And there's a speculation it was something left behind by the old Druids, or maybe something they couldn't control themselves, or even that it was one of the Black O'Carrolls who had died of leprosy. She described it as follows. This is what she said. This thing was about the size of a sheep, thin, gaunt, shadowy. Its face was human, to be more accurate, inhuman. Its lust in its eyes, which seemed half decomposed in black cavities, stared into mine. The horrible smell, 100 times intensified, came up into my face, giving me a deadly nausea. It was the smell of decomposing corpse. That sounds like demonic. She says, on November 25th, 1915, two of our servants, knowing the master would be late and that I would be driving in the afternoon, had invited friends, two soldiers from the barracks at Burr, distant, the other side, 6 miles. They came rather late, and my husband came home early, so the visitors had to be kept out of his sight. In the lower regions of one of the wings, the priest's house, basically, and were unable to be shown the center tower, the very lofty hall. So at 7:15, my husband and I went up to dress for dinner. My room is in the extremity of the house from kitchens. His dressing room's next door to mine. While dressing, I was startled by a loud yell of terror, stricken male and female voices coming apparently from the hall, and ran out to see the cause. My husband was out ahead of me. At his heels, I passed through the corridor of the wing and into the gallery. On the gallery, leaning with hands resting on the rails, I saw the thing, the elemental, and smelt it only too well. At the same moment, my husband pulled up sharply about 10 feet from the thing and, half turning left, fly a volley of abuse at me, ending up dressing up like a thing like to try to make a fool of me. And now you'll say that I've seen something that I've not. Anything, there is nothing to see or ever was. So she goes on and on and on and says that this terrible thing killed everybody and that they can't find this creature even today. Allegedly, if you go to this place, that you're going to see it today. You know, again, you can say, okay, that's a little silly or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has a right to believe in these type of things. But what I like about it is that it's talked about even today. Even today. Let's see, Canada, we just got, wow, 2 feet of snow in 24 hours in Canada. Goodness gracious, that's amazing. 2 feet of snow in Canada, folks. That's a lot. That is, and that's when it gets dangerous. When you have that much snow. I mean, God, I hope you guys are safe and safe and sound. Howdy. Thank you. Appreciate that, Crossroads. Appreciate that. Okay. Do you know this story here? One of the probably the most popular stories that most everybody knows. And then we'll get into the demonology in just a second. Again, this is from the Emerald Isle, the haunting tale of the Headless Horseman. Now, many people think, well, that's in Salem. A lot of people, what I've talked to them about, that originated in Salem. Mm-mm. It's actually a very ancient tale in Ireland, stretching back to the days before Christ. Came with St. Patrick when a dark king used to sacrifice people to Old Black One-Eye by decapitation. These people are some people are just so cruel. That very same person, the worm god, lowercase g, who consumed the druid prince in green bubbling acid at the Battle of Moytura after his collector of souls was struck down by Nuda with his golden sword. When you make a bargain with elder powers, you keep it one way or the other. So, and still they say his servants ride the highways and byways of Ireland, collecting their due, whatever it may lie. As headless horsemen they ride, bearing a whip made of human bones, or atop a horse, and a six with funerary light, blazing in skulls set about it, and green sparks flying from the iron and shove hood. This is, I've never seen, I've paranormal investigated for many years. I've never seen a headless horseman. I'm just saying. But anyway, the head, which looks and smells like old rotten cheese, can be held aloft, allowing the Dullahan or headless horseman to see a great distance, even on moonless nights or in the darkness of chambers. And when he finds the one he seeks, he speaks their name, and they just drop dead, to be carried away to whatever fate awaits them. No road is barred to the Dullahan. All gates and locks fall open at his approach. He can't be outrun or evaded. The only thing that will slow him down is an object of pure gold, for he cannot pass up even a slight of its worth. So that's the only thing that's going to save you. If you see the headless horseman, then get a gold. Here's a gold ring, or here's a gold. That's what you got to do. Even if it's gold plated, just say it's gold. I'm just saying. In that case, if you see a headless horseman, just tell him it's gold. It might be gold plated. That's okay. Just tell him. But anyway, should you chance to see a Dullahan or headless horseman, avert your eyes quickly, for they do not like people watching them work. Well, who would want to? A douse of blood may be your reward for staring at them, often marking you out to be the next in line for the chop, or a flick of their dread whip may cost you an eye, ripping living from your head. Well, that's lovely. The last and perhaps most recent of the many legends of the Dullahan was that of Thomas Roper of Roper's Rest off Black Pitts Road in Dublin, who became the Viscount of Baltinglass. It's not known what he did to draw the attention of the Dullahan, but rumors persist of a gruesome incident which killed a member of his family, and they were let rot for some time without a proper burial. So should you hear the thunder of hooves behind you and the snap of a whip, some foul night, close your eyes and pray that you got some gold in your hand. That's what you got. That's what you need to do. You need some gold. And if you don't got some gold, then you in trouble. Girl, you in trouble. Whoopi Goldberg said, you in trouble. All right. Let me just see. Okay, this is really interesting. I want to talk about this real quick, and then we're going to get into some of your demonology questions, because I did say that we're going to talk about superstitions. There are, believe it or not, there are St. Patrick's Day superstitions. I'm not really big into the superstition kind of guy. I'm just, I know some people are. I get it. And that's fine. But I'm not really big into the belief of them. So let me just turn this off. There we go. So it says here on this fantabulistic Atlas web. So here are a couple of superstitions when you're talking about St. Patty's Day. Be careful not to drop anything. You see, March 17th, or obviously it's March 17th, isn't the time to drop things. If something falls out of your hand, it means that someone unexpected is coming to visit. And that's not always a good thing. So that is a old Irish superstition. Here's another Irish superstition: wearing green on St. Patty's Day. Wearing green on St. Patty's Day is one of the most popular superstitions. It is said that wearing green will make you visible to leprechauns. I'm sorry, invisible. And mischievous creatures who might otherwise pinch you. You better look. Green is the shamrock's color, a symbol of Ireland, and is associated with good luck. I have green socks on, folks. Get a moonlit haircut. Believe it or not. Yeah, I would walk under a ladder. I don't see that as, yeah. So here's another Irish superstition. Get a moonlit haircut. Moonlit. They better look. You better have some good eyes. Cutting your hair is okay, but it needs to be done under the moonlight. If you get it cut today, once the haircut is complete, don't give a lock of hair to your romantic partner. Don't give a lock of hair to your romantic partner, or you will just be bringing them some bad luck. Well, hold on, listen. If I'm in a relationship with somebody and they get their hair cut and they come back with me with a lock of hair, I'm going to look at them and say, no. And what am I supposed to do with this? Get a weave? No, not for me. Okay, another superstition. Take precautions when going fishing. You see, St. Patrick's Day may seem like the perfect time to go fishing, but you need to take some precautions. Don't change your boat's name, no matter how much you don't like it. You can bring fruit on board, but definitely not bananas. That I've heard that before, actually. Again, these are some old Irish superstitions. For today, watch out for black cats. Well, many people say that even today. You may be faced with the dilemma of a black cat crossing your path. Unfortunately, there is something you can do. You see, they say you got to make a triangle with your fingers and spit. Be careful not to get any spit on the cat, as you probably just make him mad, and then you have a whole other set of problems to deal with. So apparently you're supposed to make this triangle and spit. Okay. All right. Whatever. Another one, put cinnamon sticks in your wallet. Oh, I forgot. So if you're looking to gain wealth and prosperity, put a cinnamon stick in your wallet. It's important to keep them near your money in order to bring out some of the monetary luck in your life. Some other superstitions on Irish superstitions: eat corned beef. I can't eat corned beef and cabbage on St. Patty's Day. Now, I like sauerkraut. I do like sauerkraut. But you're supposed to eat corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day. Corned beef and cabbage is a traditional Irish dish that is believed to bring good luck and prosperity for the coming year when eaten on St. Patty's Day. Okay, here's another one. On St. Patty's Day, this is what you're supposed to do, folks. Do the right thing with your shoes after a party. Yes. Do the right thing with your shoes after a party. What? Okay. After coming home from the St. Patrick's Day party, you're supposed to tie a telephone wire around your shoes. Supposedly, it will bring you good luck. Well, welcome to the 21st century, sunshine. We have cordless phones. What are you supposed to do with that? Imaginary cordless phone. Oh, wait. On this day, do not give anyone a knife. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. So people are issuing a little superstition thing as on TikTok. Appreciate that. Yeah, hey, listen to it. Do not give anybody a knife today. It's considered bad luck to give a knife to anyone on March the 17th, even if it's just to borrow. It signifies the ending of a friendship. If someone does happen to ask you for a knife, say, no, I don't have one. Or you have one in your hand. Oh, no, it's not. It's dull. And instead, set it on a table or a counter so they can pick it up themselves. Remember this when you're cooking your St. Patrick's Day recipe. Don't give anybody a knife. And believe it or not, some people say, well, I don't like sage. Okay, whatever. St. Patty's Day, on this day, you're supposed to burn sage. It's a superstition. On St. Patty's Day, it says you can keep evil spirits out of your home by burning sage. It will harden off misfortune and get rid of negative energy. So there you go. Now you have your fun-filled, exciting. I've given you the superstitions for St. Patty's Day. I've given you some scary stories on St. Patty's Day. And so now you're probably, hopefully, filled with like, okay, I think we're good on St. Patty's Day. Whew. So if you don't know today is St. Patty's Day, it's St. Patty's Day. All right. Let me just close these out and put, there we go. Yeah. All right. Let me put the comments on and get to some of your comments there on TikTokers and everybody else. Okay. Yeah, folks, let's relax a little bit. I mean, it's a background. It's Paranormal Friday. It's a Paranormal Friday. We just relax. We just chill. We just, it's like, relax. It's a fun background, The car is still, it's going to be quite expensive to fix that car. So it'll just sit and wait. So. Yeah, it has a CVT transmission. And CVT transmissions are apparently notoriously bad. I didn't know that when I bought the car, but, what are you going to do? There was Banshees. There was a Banshee story. Let me just check. There was, let me see. Go see. Okay, we don't want to do that. That's a good question because there were Banshees. Faceless Lady. I know I saw it. Hold on one second here. I don't know where it went, but yeah, there was the Banshee story that I had, but I guess I cannot find it. So I had it in here because I saw the thing. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I saw that you had mentioned Banshees, but I know that I had the Banshee story, but and that is an old Irish, what some people say, folklore, urban legend. Some people swear by this. I mean, they're absolutely convinced that this stuff does exist, and you will not tell them otherwise. There's so many stories out there. It's kind of hard to go through every single one of them. So Yeah, there's a lot. Let's see. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, everybody was asking a bunch of questions when I was trying to do the presentation, so now we can kind of go and go into your questions now into demonology. Um, so it says, let's see, on this site that I saw, a banshee is said to be a fairy in Irish legend, and her scream is believed to be an omen of death. The scream is also called um, coin, which means keening, is a warning that there will be an imminent death in the family. And as the Irish families blended over time, it is said that each family has their own banshee. A banshee is a disembodied spirit, can appear in any of the following forms: a beautiful woman wearing a shroud, a pale woman in a white dress with long hair, a woman with a long silver dress and silver hair, a headless woman carrying a bowl of blood that is naked from the waist up, an old woman with frightening red eyes, green dress, and long white hair, an old woman with a veil covering her face, dressed in all black with long gray hair. It's interesting. For those of you who don't know, yeah, that's pretty cool. We'll talk a little bit about this because there's a lot of people who absolutely are convinced that banshees exist. Historians have traced the first stories of the banshee to the 8th century, which were based on tradition where women sang a sorrowful song of lament after someone's death, and these women were known as keeners. And since they accepted alcohol as payment, woohoo, well, they were said to be sinners and punished by being doomed to become banshees. And according to mythology of the banshee, if she is spotted, she will vanish into a cloud of mist, and this action creates a noise similar to that of a bird flapping its wings. Legend says that the banshees don't cause death, they only serve as a warning of it. Now, according to this site, there are Celtic weddings. It says there are banshees that are good and bad. Not all banshees are hate-filled creatures. There are some that had strong ties to their families in life and continue to watch over them in death. Now, when they manifest themselves, these banshees appear as beautiful, enchanting women that sing a sorrowful, haunting song, which is filled with concern and love for their families. This song can be heard a few days since before the death of a family, and in most cases, the song can only be heard by the person for whom it is intended. On the other side of the coin, we have the very angry and scary banshee that most of us are familiar with. You see, during their lives, these women had reasons to hate their families and appear as distorted and frightening apparitions filled with hatred. The howls emitted by these banshees are enough to chill you to the bone. And rather than appearing to warn a family member, these banshees are celebrating the future demise of someone they loathe. Well, that's not very nice. Here's some more. Hold on, this is pretty cool. Other Irish mythology stories related to the banshees say that that she is the ghost of a young girl that suffered a brutal death, and her spirit remains to warn family members that a violent death is imminent. It is said that the banshee appears as an old woman with rotten teeth and long fingernails. She wears rags and has blood red eyes that are filled with hate, that looking directly into them will cause immediate death. The banshee's mouth is always open as her piercing scream torments the souls of the living. Now, according to some tales, there are evil banshees that derive pleasure from taking a life, and they actively seek out their victims and wail at them to the point where the person commits suicide or goes insane. There are even banshees that can tear people to shreds, and these horrific apparitions are what feature in modern day horror films. So it is important to note that banshees do not bring death. However, they only warn of it and give the family time to prepare for the inevitable. So if you, I'm sure there's the Banshee movie. I've seen that before, the advertisement. So no one is actually sure, by the way, it says here on the site, no one is actually sure where banshees get their knowledge of a person's death from. One theory suggests that each family member has his own personal observer who follows him or her around and reports back to the banshee. However, this is a belief that is slowly dying out, as it is the tale of the banshee, which is now regarded as nothing more than a spooky bedtime story. Many centuries ago, belief in banshees were more widespread in Ireland, and being a disbeliever was said to be blasphemous. So perhaps you've had a grandparent who still holds this belief. For the rest of us, the legend of the banshees fall into the myth and superstition category. So if you are enjoying a night out in Ireland or anywhere else and hear a piercing scream, it's unlikely to be led to the banshees, but you never know. So there you go. And now that, as Paul Harvey says, now you know the rest of the story. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot of people when you're talking about banshees and you're talking about myths and urban legends. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Shannon, go to Appalachia. You'll find some. And that's true. Very, very true. I think there with urban legends. I think there is an element of truth to it, but I think over time, I certainly think that they get watered down or perhaps maybe embellished a bit to try to scare children. For example, going to the woods or going here or going there, staying out that late at night. So I think we do see, but there are some people, especially with urban legends. There are some people that are absolutely convinced that urban legends exist. And you will not convince them otherwise. No matter what you say, do, or think, you won't. You will not change their mind. Matter of fact, I did a presentation on urban legends once, and these people, you're right. A lot of people just consider urban legends as just campfire stories. Nothing more than just campfire stories. But I know people that are 1,000,000% convinced that these urban legends or these banshees or however you want to refer it, that they're absolutely 1,000,000% convinced. Appalachian it's in the Kentucky. It's in it actually goes not just in Kentucky, in several states. There's some interesting crazy things going on there in Appalachia. You got to be very careful. You really do have to be careful because that's no joke. That can be quite frightening. Quite frightening. So you have to be cautious about that. But there's some creepy legends there's urban legends in every state. That's what makes urban legends so interesting. So, in every state you can talk about urban legends and go from there. Now someone's asking about someone asked me, let's see, I'm getting something on Messenger. The zombie, a zombie attacks, and do I think that is that's a possibility, or is that more of an urban legend? Well, let me tell you something, folks. Okay. There's a website ranker. Christopher Schultz wrote this. The modern day zombie was formalized in 1968 upon the release of George Romero's just seminal Night of the Living Dead. The film featured all the typical characteristics of these supernatural ghouls, reanimated, mindless, shuffling human corpses who eat the flesh and organs of the living. Now, while they are slow, they are vicious in their hunger, and they amass into a horde, and they will tear you into pieces, according to the site. Now, often a zombie apocalypse in films and literature signal the end of days. Since that time, Mr. Schultz says, we've seen numerous other variations on the same basic zombie characteristics, but in fact, the concept of zombie predates Romero's films. It predates this, specifically in the concept of a zombie in Haitian culture, which some of you may not know, which is effectively a person's risen from the dead and brainwashed into a mindless automation. So there are some parts of Haiti that absolutely are convinced that it does exist, while many insist these incidents are nothing but folklore. Others insist such beings were successfully fashioned. See, whether the Haitian zombies actually existed or not, there have been numerous cases, according to Mr. Schultz, of real zombies. Though such incidents do not exactly involve things that have come back from the dead, nature has given us both zombie ants and zombie spiders. There have even been several high-profile cases of people going berserk and feasting on the flesh of fellow humans for unknown reasons. So maybe one day we'll talk about the zombies, but there have been cases, folks, where the people, for whatever reason, nope, they were not on drugs, they were not on any type of illegal substance, nothing. Nothing was found in their bloodstream, where they turn into these zombies. They attack people and began cannibalism. It is Zombie uncles. It's crazy. I read a couple cases where I can't. It's one of those things you can't dismiss. I think there are Marian apparitions. I do believe in Marian apparitions. I think some have a little bit less evidence than others, but I believe that there are some valid Marian apparitions. You're right. Yeah, on the road and blamed it for bath salt. Well, actually made it in Kentucky in 1984. Actually, they're saying, what about the guy who was eating the guy on the side of the road, and they blamed it on bath salts? Here's the deal. I read on that case, and there was a documentary done, and they interviewed the individual, the doctor who did the autopsy. He had no PCP. He had a very small trace of marijuana. That was it. There was nothing in his system that would have made this man do what he did. Nothing. And that's what makes it so crazy. No, he didn't have bath salts. So it's one of those things. It's kind of they did it. I forgot the documentary that I watched it on, but they interviewed him, the doctor who actually did it, who did the autopsy. And there's actually several cases. Not just, maybe one day I'm going to do another zombie show, and of the zombie, especially with that show. I forgot what it's called, but it's a popular show that people like it. I saw a couple episodes, but I kind of got burnt out. It's like, okay, I'm kind of bored with this. About a fungus. And there are legitimate issues that people are thinking that absolutely could happen. There are people who have advanced education in the type of bioweaponry, and of course, terrible things like fungi that could last of us. Thank you. That could possibly occur. There are some doctors saying no, that this pure science fiction, but there are other doctors who are in this field who say, nope, this could be a legitimate issue. And painting the roof of your porch blue is to keep wasps away. Oh, there we go. Well, Miss Wilma knows all kinds of, by the way, she knows all kinds of these superstitions things. Maybe on Saturday, maybe tomorrow we'll talk to her about sharing some of the superstitions. So that would be pretty cool. Because tomorrow we'll be on at 8:00. We talk about anything and everything. It's just open mic. For the first about 30 minutes or so, Miss Wilma comes on at 8:00, and we chat and share stories. And then at 8:30 she logs off. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll go from there. Is it porch? No, it's porch. I think it's porch. So I don't know, or Porsche. I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about a Porsche. I believe me. Woo. Okay, so let's get into some of your questions, because people say, well, Bishop Long, you never ask any questions. Well, okay. Mad cow disease, certainly, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people think that the mad cow disease could be a serious, a very serious issue with human beings, but I don't know. Okay. There are many people that claim that. Is the Western Wall evil? No. I don't know. I don't know where this comes from as far as the Western. I don't know why people are. That's interesting. I don't know why people believe. I don't know. It's so Metatron. Well, it depends. Metatron, according to Jewish myth and legend, is actually one of the greatest of all angels. Now, when you're talking about Christianity, there's a bit different. Metatron, it's not a figure in the Hebrew Bible. So I guess that, but there's many people believe in the Jewish myths and legends that Metatron exists. As a matter of fact, I believe, if I'm correct, his name does appear in the Talmud. just in a couple places, not a whole lot of places. And Kabbalistic text, it's listed there as well. He's like an angel, or like a prince of the angels of the presence, is like Michael, I refer to Enoch. I think that you're referring to the book of Enoch. And so anyway, he kind of guards the secretly heavenly secrets, and it's a mediator. It's God's mediator between man and God. So there's a lot of people who, that's where you get the Metatron, the angel that people refer to from the Jewish myths and legends. So that's why a lot of people say, well, there's more than 7 archangels, or 7, they considered Metatron as one of them. But it's again, you have to understand it's not in the Hebrew Bible, so it's based on myth and legend. Yeah, the book of Enoch, it is interesting, but there's just error. That's the problem. There is error within the book of Enoch that's a problem, and so that's the issue. Well, hello, and I appreciate Father. The Earth is flat. Well, I would respectfully disagree, but that's okay. I'm just. Some people are absolutely convinced it is, and that's their right to believe that. But for me, I'm just not a big believer of that, Okay, but that's my opinion. Some people disagree, and okay, that's all right. Yes, I have read the Apocrypha. I've read. It's important for me to read. You have to, especially to be educated, you have to read as many sources as possible when it comes to literature, when it comes to scripture, because when people ask you about it, you have to be educated. As a matter of fact, I did a study on that. I can't remember when. It was last year sometime. So you're right. You're right, Merle. It's in the Ethiopian Bible. There's just errors within the book of Enoch, and that's why I think there's issues. And for those of you who are familiar spirits from a Catholic perspective, I guess because that's what I was trained on. They fall under the control of in Catholicism with their master Satan, and they influence people to do things, to sin, to cause havoc in people's lives. And Deuteronomy, I think you're referring to, people asking about familiar spirits. I believe, if my memory is there, because I'm getting old, but Deuteronomy 18, verse 10 through 12, I believe it mentions. I think that's what you're referring to. So that's what familiar. It's all referring to ultimately the work of Satan and the tools that Satan uses to cause issues and problematic with people. Well, okay. Well, Paul, here's the problem. You people say, well, if it's not in the Bible, then it's not true. Well, the Bible doesn't talk about. I have talked about this before. The Bible doesn't talk about the internet. The Bible doesn't talk about an iPhone. The Bible doesn't talk about eyeglasses. The Bible doesn't talk about a speaker. The Bible doesn't. He doesn't talk about a space shuttle. So I think we have to be careful, because it's very easy to misinterpret Scripture. And so we have to be careful about that. Okay. Louise is asking a question. I think that's Louis Flores. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name, but are nuns considered less than priests? I mean, with no disrespect. I get what you're saying. Priests are consecrated. Now, nuns are consecrated to living a life of, obviously, love for the church and to Christ. There was a lot in Vatican II. Now, quite a few nuns actually left, because I disagreed with with Vatican II. I disagree with what they did. They basically demoted sisters to that of laity, and I just disagree with that, because they consecrated their life to Christ, and so it really affected a lot of nuns in the church. and it really hurt them. So now, in the Roman Catholic Church, they do not have the faculties to obviously say mass and do what's called transubstantiation. So, but they certainly are. That doesn't mean they're any less than. And so I think we have to be careful. But I understand your question. The red, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I pray every day. Okay, rosary. Have you been to the Vatican? I have not been in the Vatican vaults. No, I have not been to Rome. No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've not been to Rome. Yeah, a lot of the stories about zombies come from New Orleans. There's powder down there. Well, actually, you know what? That originated from Haiti. Ellen, Ellen saying a lot of stories about zombies come from New Orleans that have powder down there, and they put it in people. That originated from Haiti. There is some type of I can't remember the powder or the poison that they used, but the person's breathing became so shallow that you couldn't read it. You couldn't see that the person was actually breathing. They actually thought that you were dead, and that's why really the urban legend, if you will, or the belief of the zombies came true. So I mean, yeah, it's quite terrible, really, really scary. The puffer fish. Thank you very much. Yeah, Michael. Yeah, the puffer fish. Yeah, the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow. That's something that was quite serious. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that again, the puffer fish. That's been well documented in movies and documentaries. So I'm not saying anything that it has not been, promoted. It certainly has been promulgated in many everywhere as far as that's concerned. Yeah. Merle 553. Many people here in New Orleans also believe in vampires. Here's the deal. I truly would love to have. Thank you very much. And thank you for the gifts. So those are offering gifts. I appreciate that. But I would love to have somebody on my show who truly believes they are a vampire. Now, I'm not talking about psychic vampires, because anybody can say out there a psychic vampire. So for me, it's kind of like, how do you validate that? I mean, really, I mean, seriously, you go and you absorb people's energy. Okay. But I just kind of, well, you found me a vampire. Well, who is it? A legitimate vampire, not somebody who's watched too much Twilight. I mean, seriously, I want somebody who doesn't think they sparkle, when they walk outside in the sunlight. I'm just saying, Mr. Producer is here today. Viva Van. All right. Yeah, because I want to be able to speak to someone who truly believes they are. They live the life, and then they're not I have heard a lot of people say they're psychic vampires. Okay, because been in the paranormal field for a long time. I've met all kinds of people, but you can't verify that. You know what I mean? Right. I understand vampires exist, just not the Bram Stoker's. I get it. But see, that's the problem. You have some people who absolutely promulgate the Bram Stoker's version of vampirism, and you have others say no, it's not all of that. It's not. They sparkle in the sunlight, or they just absorb people's energy. It's like, okay, you know what? That's the thing. I don't want to bring anybody on the show who's just going to say, I'm a vampire, and I like the moon, and I like golf. I like black. Oh, come on. Go light your black candles and come back to reality. I mean, I don't want to see. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I want somebody legitimate, not someone who's playing golf. Or I just don't, well, you have to. I mean, I'm serious. Look, folks, I met so many people in the paranormal community, so many people who said that they were vampires. And I just look at them like, oh, dude. Yeah, I'm just going to absorb their energy. I'm just absorbing it. Yeah, I'm absorbing your energy and I'm getting tired. I mean, I'm just absorbing. Oh, come on. Stop watching. Turn the golf shows off, for goodness gracious. Macy Rose, Bishop, who is the most unusual person you've ever met? Actually, I had him on the show, and it's sad. It's very sad. I interviewed him. This was about maybe, oh gosh, I think maybe 15 years ago. And it's sad. But he went by the name Catman. And I had him on the show. He actually was found dead in his garage with a gun on the floor. He was 54 years old. And he literally completely changed his entire face. His whole body was modified to look like a cat. You might have seen him on several documentaries. And it's a shame. But he committed suicide. He suffered from a lot of depression, but yeah, he had all kinds of modifications. And I asked him, what was it? Why? I believe his name was Dennis Abner. I believe it is. So if you can look it up, AVNER, Dennis Abner. He just spent so much money on all the modifications that he did to his face, because the way he described it to me is he would look in the mirror prior to his modification, and he always felt like he was missing something, that he was not looking at his right reflection. And he always felt that something was wrong. And then he began one modification and he was like, yeah, this is it. And then another modification and another body. Seriously, we're talking about complete and total modification. And unfortunately, he committed suicide. Like people who claim, I have met people who claim to be aware. I've met people, folks, when I tell you that I met people I've met a woman who was trying to convince me that she was pregnant with aliens. I'm not kidding you. So she contacts me and she says, are you Bishop LeBlanc? Yep, I'm Bishop LeBlanc. I need your help. Okay. I need you to come to my home. Okay, why? Because aliens are visiting me and now I'm pregnant. Now I'm thinking to myself, ET call home. What do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do? Do I have a 1-800 alien UFO a dial-up on my phone? I don't have a speed dial. Alien. What am I supposed to do with that? But she told me, she told me that she wanted me to go to her home because she had an alien that had impregnated her. And I'm thinking, okay, how do I respond? So I of course I was always very, very pastoral and kind, but I'm thinking to myself, what on earth? I'm an exorcist. What do you want me to do? I don't work. I'm not Area 51. I'm not the Men in Black. Call them. So what are you going to do? You go to watch. I'm telling you, let me tell you, I'll tell you, some people always ask me this: what was the scariest situation you've ever been in? Well, I'll tell you this, and this is, performing exorcisms is one thing, but I'll never forget a case that I worked where a woman claimed that a demon was attacking her and causing major havoc in her home. And she was terrified. She legitimately was terrified. Now, at that time, I couldn't get a team out there. And besides, it wasn't that far away. It was like 4 hours away from me. So I had a little bit of time and I thought, okay, I'll go out there. And because I couldn't get a team, because, no teams were busy, or they were just so no one went. So I packed up all my items and was going to go investigate and determine whether or not there's a demonic that's present. And so I go to her house and I kind of leave all the stuff, in my car, just to go in, just to say hello and just kind of get the feel of the place. And I walk in the back door of her house, because the front door was locked. You couldn't go, you had to go in the back door. And her back door, as soon as you walk up the stairs, then you have the kitchen. This is like from the it looked like from the 1970s wallpaper, you know what I mean? It's that old looking wallpaper. And she had so there was just a simple square kitchen, and there's a wooden table here with a couple chairs. The stove was over here on this side, and there was a wall facing. And then, so when I walked in there, I saw holes, very small puncture holes all over the wall. Now I'm talking thousands. Now, what I am not kidding you. There were holes everywhere. And I really thought, you know, this house is not stable. I mean, when I looked over here to where the table was, puncture, thousands and thousands of puncture holes, even to where, you know, the I don't know what you call it, the stuff that you put on the walls, drywall. The drywall was even coming off this because there were so many holes. And then on the other side, and then by the kitchen, by the stove and refrigerator, there's thousands of holes. No, they were kind of like about that long, maybe about 3 inches. They were very thin, very, very thin. And the puncture, it looked like, to me, it looked like a puncture hole. Thousands of them. And so I asked her, I said, well, you know, your house is not safe. I mean, you have drywall falling off here. This is dangerous. That could be a problem. That's immediate thinking is okay, maybe there's something going on in her home, and I can explain perhaps maybe that's why you're hearing these bangings. And she's, oh, no. And then she pulled out a broom, and she had cut off the end of the broom. And at the very end, she had this massive, like a Michael Myers. I mean, it looked like a Michael Myers butcher knife. And she had duct tape it. She duct taped it all around this broom at the end of the broom. And she says, and she held this thing up and looked right at me. She said, every time I see that demon, I stab it. Now I'm thinking, okay. And I'm the only one there. So now I'm thinking, okay, you are putting yourself in some serious harm here, because this person could see a demon in you or a demon near you. So I immediately backed away slowly. I said, I'll tell you what, let me get my equipment, because we got to investigate. She said, oh, don't worry. I have my weapon. Well, I got out of that house. I got in my car, and I did not go back in that house. See, that's what I tell people. You got to be very careful. I tell teams all the time, you need to be careful. This is dangerous stuff. You know, it's one thing if you're dealing with, when you're dealing with demonic entities, that's a problematic already. That already has its problems. But then you go into a location, into a home, where someone could be truly mentally ill. And that's no joke. That is as scary. I truly was terrified, because it wasn't, I can't, you know, I've been on, I've done the shows, and I've lots of demonic cases and the 30 exorcisms I've done, and they all have their own element of, I guess, suspense. But this, when you walk into a location and someone is holding this massive butcher knife, I mean, it was huge. I've never seen a butcher knife never. That's when, you know, it hit home really fast that this is dangerous. So I always tell paranormal teams, you better be careful. That's why I tell people, don't ever go by yourself, because you don't know what you're walking into. There are 4 things going on here. When someone tells you that they have a demon in their home, I basically deduced it to 4 things. 1, they're mistaken. It can be explained logically. 2, they're lying to you. They just want to get attention. 3, they're telling you the truth, and that's pretty serious. Or 4, they're mentally ill. And, you know, the third, they could be telling you the truth, or they could be mentally ill. That's both quite scary. And you got to be very careful. I was when I was in the seminary, I met an individual who was in a mental hospital. So I went with the priest that I went to. We have to every year we had to go and we had to stay at a parish and do parish ministry so we can learn, how the parish works and operates. And he went to this mental hospital, and this individual in Kentucky was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, and one of the sheriff's deputies was just serving papers. That's all, just doing a welfare check on him. That's it. And he went up to the porch, and this guy came, and this guy is a really big guy, but he's sweetheart of a guy. He was so kind. But he came out and he saw the sheriff deputy and he shot him, and he killed him. And he told the court, and he also, when we were there and we got to meet him, he said, I saw a demon. He was a demon. A demon was coming at me. So this is serious business. This is not something that you should play around with. If you're a paranormal team, you need to remember, people need to know where you are. They need to know where you're going. They need to know the address, and you don't need to be alone. If you are alone, you could get yourself into some trouble. Because what are you going to do if it is real? But then what are you going to do if you're dealing with someone who's mentally ill? So you have to be careful about that. Well, he actually was. Well, he of course did a psychological evaluation, and it was clearly determined he suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. So they placed him in a mental institution. He's still there today. I mean, he's just not going to ever get better. It just, so yeah, or a Dahmer. You just have to be careful. You just don't know. You just don't know. Well, oh boy, Monstar Sports and Entertainment. Do a lot of people lie? What's the percentage? Let me tell you. When I first did Ghost Adventures at the Bobby Mackey's, I was furious, because after the show, I was gullible because I believe people. If they tell me something, I believe them. I don't believe there's any ulterior motives. If they tell me, look, I have issues and I need you in my home, please come. So this was about maybe a couple of months after the Bobby Mackey's aired. I didn't think about it. I didn't even watch the Bobby Mackey's episode because I was in it. So and quite honestly, if I do watch it, then I'm very, I kind of pick apart. Well, James, you did this and you did that wrong. You did that. So I just prefer not to watch. And that's any of them, the History Channel or A&E or Travel Channel or any of them. But so someone calls me, and I think they were 8 hours away, and they were begging me to please come to their home. And at that time, I was just kind of, I didn't have a lot of paranormal teams that I was working with. So I said, sure, I'll come over there. Oh, please, we need your help. We need your help. We're terrified. And the kids are terrified and all this other, they were using the whole 9 yards. So I get in my car. I drive all the way because I didn't have any, at that time I went to the house because no one else would go with me. And she was elderly and she was begging for help. So, but this was after the 3 months after the Bobby Mackey's episode aired. So this lady calls me and begs me to come. She's a single mom and the whole story. So I get in the car, I drive 8 hours. I show up at her house. Now I don't charge. And I get to her home and I say, okay, what's going on? From the beginning, she kind of acted strange. I thought, why are you acting weird? But she was like, oh, I just want to shake your hand. I just want to talk to you. And she didn't want to talk about what was going on in her home. And I thought, well, wait a minute, that's weird. You're telling me you have kids and you're terrified and you're asking me to come to your home. I'm here. Let's fix this problem. That's why I came. So let's sit down. Let's talk. I'm like, I'm not here to talk. I'm here to find out what's going on. So eventually I asked her, I said, look, I'm really tired. I would like to kind of get focused on investigating and finding out what's going on in your home. Oh, I really don't think it's anything. What do you mean you don't think it's anything? Now, I've driven 8 hours to get to this place. Well, I really don't think it's really anything. I think I just was mistaken. So why did you have me drive 8 hours to your home and now I have to drive 8 hours back home? I have to get a hotel now, and because I'm exhausted. And now because you're telling me that, Well, I just want to really talk to you about, do you really think Bobby Mackey's was possessed, she said possessed. Do you think really Bobby Mackey's was possessed? No, I'm a patient man. But the only thing she was interested in is asking me about Bobby Mackey's and what I thought about Zach. I was furious. Furious. And because it really irritated me, because at that time so many people were asking me to come to their home, and I had to choose. I had to say, well, I can go to this home, but I can't go to that home. And so I probably told a family that legitimately needed my help, I can't get to you because I have to go to this home. And because I only have so much funds, because I use my own personal funds, I don't charge. And after that, I said, no more. I'll never do that again. So that's why when people say, well, you shouldn't work with paranormal teams, shut up. I do it because if I find a team that's in the area that's reputable, that they can go to that location, and if they're a half hour away, they can investigate and they can determine whether or not I need to get there. So that was the whole point. That was the whole point of me working with paranormal investigators who are doing this professionally. They do it respectfully. They do it honorably, so they can validate that claim. Because I can't go to everybody's home just because they want to talk to me about Zach Bagans or they want to find out about ghost adventures. I cannot tell you that infuriated me. I was so angry. And I mean, that really, truly, I feel a lot of priests, a lot of clergy will not go. Many clergy. Now, this is true. There have been many cases where they have contacted me and they said, I've contacted the local the parish priest or clergy, local clergy from Methodists or Lutherans or Episcopalians. And people tell me, well, they won't help us unless I'm a member of the parish or a member of the church. So I've had quite a few people tell me that. Now, again, I can't validate that. I can just simply say so many people are telling me that you have to say, I wonder how much of that is true. But it's very frustrating. But that has happened several times. Or people will contact me and say, Bishop Long, I need your help immediately. I'm really at my wit's end. I don't know if I can handle this anymore, whatever it might be. So I stop what I'm doing. I pick up the phone, and I give them a call. I start talking about ghost adventures. Thinking, my day started at 4 a.m. and I just got home at 7 p.m. And that kind of nonsense is very, very frustrating. But you just have to push forward. You can't allow that type of nonsense because it will. It can eat the joy and destroy the joy, and you have to work with people. You have to work with and network with other teams. You have to, because if you don't, you can get yourself in big trouble. But it's happened. It's happened quite a bit. And then you have people trolls who say, well, you shouldn't work with paranormal teams. Well, you know what? You should mind your own business. Or maybe you should get in your car and drive 8 hours to people's homes just because they want to talk to you about Zach Bagans or ghost adventures. And then you come talk to me and say, now I know why you work with paranormal teams, because you can't go to every single person's home. I haven't won the lottery yet. When I do, then I'll go to people's homes and I'll have no problem doing it. But until then, I have to work with what I have. So that's just, again, people being trolls and not actually doing anything but complaining. So, Okay. That's why I never charge. Yeah, see, that's the thing. People can attack me all day long and say they don't like me because of this, they don't like me of that. But one thing they can never do is they can never attack my integrity. Never. Because if I start charging, then people say, well, you're only doing this for money. You're only doing that. Well, no, I'm not. You're only doing this for fame. You become famous so that you can make money. I mean, that's the point. I can't bring you on right now. I'll bring you on at top of the hour. So that's why you become famous, so you can make money. I mean, hell, I don't make money. So the fame there's no point in it. I'm not doing it for money. You got, I mean, kind of doesn't make sense, you know. But anyway, so I've never charged, never have I ever, never once charged, never will. And I don't work with teams that do. If a team works, if the team goes out and charges people, I have nothing to do with them. I will not, because it's so easy for someone to take advantage of someone's suffering. And to me, I have, since the day I started this over 2 decades ago, I made a vow. I would never charge, and I would never work with anybody who does. I'm not judging. I'm just simply saying I'm not going to allow the trolls and haters to use my integrity or why I do this against me. So they can't. It's the one thing they can't say. They can say you're ugly or you're this or you're that or whatever. I don't care. But they cannot attack the integrity. Oh, I'm fine. Okay. Oh, well, thank you, Hetty. And yeah, we'll certainly keep praying for you there, Hetty. Yeah, Saint Benedict is the patron saint for exorcists. As a matter of fact, if you go on my website, bishopjameslong.com, and click on the Benedictines, okay? If you click on the Benedictines, it will actually, I place it up there so I could teach you what the medal stands for, the front and the back, what all the symbols mean, because a lot of people buy the Benedictine bracelet, or Benedictine items. So if you do, and if you like the Saint Benedict, I encourage you to go to bishopjameslong.com and click on the Benedictines link. And then once you click on that link, it'll take you. It'll teach you it's all there. It's all there. So it'll teach you. My comments were off earlier because people were trolling, and it just got to a point where it was annoying, and it was distracting, and I'm not going to put up with the silliness, you know. Saints, you know, I did talk about saints once, but I probably will do it again. Actually, what I'm doing now is on Sundays and Wednesdays, I'm teaching Bible study, but on the second hour, I've been teaching about Revelation, the book of Revelation. What I'm going to do after Revelation is I'm going to go through all the books of the Bible, and I'm actually going to teach you. We're not going to go. It's not going to be extensive for each book, but I'm going to teach you who the author was, to whom was it written for, what was going on during the time, what are the main verses of each Bible. Of each book, and that's really important to actually give you a detailed information for each book, and that's what I'm going to do on Sundays and Wednesdays after the Revelation is over. Okay. I didn't get my 5-mile walk in today. It was cold. It was cold. It was like 25 degrees. It hurts. That type of arthritis and playing football. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. But I did get like a couple miles. So I would say the hardest case would be would probably, I've talked about that, would be the incubus case, because that got it was emotional. And normally, you know, when you do a case, you're Bishop Long, you're stoic. This is the way we're going to do it. We're going to have it full. But on this time, okay, thanks, Miss British. She was 68 years old and she went through hell. She went through hell. As a matter of fact, I've talked about this before. I had her daughter on my show, and she talked about her mom and her case, and it was quite terrible. Terrible. Because I grew to love them. I grew to love her, and she was like a grandma, and she was the most wonderful. She was so wonderful, wonderful. You know, I don't talk about my age, but I just don't celebrate my birthday. I just don't. I know. I didn't like it as a child, and I don't like it now. So I don't celebrate the birthday. I just don't like it. I have no problem celebrating anybody else's birthday. No problem. That's fine, but not mine. Well, you know, look, some people are like to warn, some people don't. I knew Lorraine, and here's the deal. I just don't like talking smack about the dead. I don't, because they can't here to defend. They're not here to defend their name. And I know there's people who not support them. I know that people think that they are this or that or whatnot, but to me, they're not here. And so now, of course, if you're talking about people like John Wayne Gacy or Dahmer, that's one thing. And what they did is terrible. I think that's a universal statement that we can all agree on. But I think when you start talking about whether or not you think the Warrens were true or not, I think that's a little unfair. They're not here to defend themselves, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I liked Lorraine. She was a friend of mine, and so there we go. For those of you on Facebook, on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. I'm going to remind everybody that tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be on TikTok for a little bit longer. So I'll be staying with you guys for a moment. But I want to remind you guys that tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our fun-filled, exciting night prayer at 10 o'clock. Go to bishopjameslong.com. Very simple, bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see night prayer. Click it. Again, hang tight with me. I'm staying on TikTok for a minute. But remember, guys, I have no idea, Maria. I don't know why you were blocked on TikTok by asking a question from TikTok. I don't know. Remember, folks, I always tell you, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, you are priceless, and never let anybody convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. God bless.
The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.